Let's go.
All right, now go to Instagram. And this is what you can do too. You can watch this. You can do this. Why is it he rolls the other one still up there too? Let me remove him. Okay, so let me show you something too. You know how you want to. You know how you want to like present like you doing something like this right here. Let me see. Hold on. Get back. Like this right here. I'm on your page, right? You see that?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I can do this while we're talking.
Oh, it's dope.
So let me show you what you got to do. Go over here to your Instagram page. You see that?
Yeah.
Click live video. Oh, not right there. My bad. Let me get out of there. Let me get out of there. You want me to get out of there. Hold on. So you want to click on create.
All right.
Okay. Hold on. Are you live already too? Ask your wife to see if you're live. Because it looks like you're live.
Am I, bro, you can tell I haven't done this before. Let me see.
Yeah, you're live.
I bet. Yeah, she says I'm live. She's yelling at me. She says you live.
Woo! We're going to talk some. Can I cuss on this thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We're going to talk some shit today.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're live, dog. So now here's the beauty. And so, listen, look at your screen. So every now and then we're going to go here and read comments, and people can write comments. First of all, you know, on this show, I'll make sure that I screen these comments before I put them up, right? Listen, the dude called me, how you doing, the dog pope.
Dog pope.
so I don't never talk about politics, religion, sexual orientation. We always talk about dogs, kennels, people, you know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, we all have our different beliefs. You know, me and you believe probably in the same thing, right? So
right.
But not everybody do. Okay. So with that being said, I'm not going to let no Yahoo get up in here and start talking shit. And it just, because this shit is recorded. So when I get done with this goes live to my YouTube for good. And then I go to YouTube and I change the thumbnail picture. See what I'm saying? So now so we good. So people, we got him on the show. We got Jason on the show. Can you believe that shit? I thought you had fell off for a minute. I was like, wait a minute. I said, are you good?
No, I seen that text and I'm like, dang, what am I doing wrong? You know?
Yeah. So we got Jason on the show.
Yeah,
Jason.
Here we go.
Yeah, Jason, he is from Heroes Kennel. And you can always go to his page. I'm sure you're on all platforms, but I'll put down, you're on Instagram, of course, TikTok. And let me add in YouTube. How about that?
Yeah.
YouTube.
Also on Facebook too, although I got to be honest, I don't really check the Facebook too much. My wife handles all that. I didn't even notice that we had kind of a decent sized following on Facebook until the other day. I'm like, dang, we got a good little build up on Facebook.
Hey, you know what? Here's the thing. How old are you? How old are you now?
41.
Okay. I'm 54. And it's always room to learn, right? With that being said, understand this, because I'm gonna give you free game. Not everybody on Instagram is on TikTok. Not everybody on TikTok is on Instagram.
Right.
And not everybody on Instagram is on Facebook. But not everybody on Facebook on TikTok. And not everybody on either one of those are on YouTube. But the people on YouTube may not be on the other ones.
Hey, and I'm going to tell you, we started off basically just Instagram. You know what I'm saying? And then we started getting a little bit of success on Instagram. But then I was noticing that's where just, if I'm trying to go ahead and promote my dogs to other kennels, that's where I'm going to go on Instagram.
Right.
But if I'm trying to go ahead and get an audience outside of just dog breeders, that's where I'm going to go and get it at TikTok, or that's where I'm going to go ahead and get it on YouTube. And so that's what I've noticed myself. Whenever I started making YouTube content, I do have, you know, the dog breeders as well. They congregate there, but I'm getting a lot of the aspiring ones, or the people that are just getting interested on the breed. So it's kind of like a different, you know, an avenue, kind of uncharted territory, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, on YouTube, at least with, you know, my particular breed. There's only like a handful of guys that's really doing a lot of content on YouTube.
I'm gonna tell you right now, and then, you know, this show is never scripted. I have a few questions, but it's organic, right? So I remember seeing you for the first time you don't remember seeing me, did you? I remember seeing you at the Cinco de Mayo XL Bully show.
Yeah, well, some you don't know. I knew who you were. You know, I
Oh,
seen
okay.
you on NWA,
Yeah,
yeah, on the podcast a couple of times, and I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, this guy's a good dog, man. And then I seen you with Built Right Kennels, where she was telling
yeah,
you about the Cinco show, and then I
yeah,
seen you there with the cameraman, but we were kind of on the same, path,
yeah.
talking to
We,
people, interviewing people and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah. And I love the tandem too of you and your wife doing this thing. That was dope. And my wife, works from home. She, she's an entrepreneur too. So when I'm doing this dog stuff, she's doing her like this to pay the bill stuff,
yeah,
right? So unfortunately, she can't join me as much as I want her to. I love her, but
yeah.
I started watching you on YouTube before I saw you at the bully show,
Okay.
right? Yeah,
Mhm.
because you've interviewed a few people. Like, it's some good content. But when I saw the camera you had, it was like one of these right here. It was like,
Yeah,
I'm like, man, it's a hella small camera. You know what I'm saying? But it created great it was at 1080p at least. It
it
was
was. Yeah,
it's a high resolution and it was steady too, so it wasn't shaking. It's like it does something where it doesn't make it seem like it's
yeah.
moving too much. It's nice and smooth. I like that.
We got the DJI, and you can do like we can lock in on the people's faces and stuff. And so even if you're moving around, the camera just stays steady, so you can track the person.
Right.
But I mean, before that, we were doing it on an iPhone. You know what I'm saying? Like we
Yeah.
we had the little microphones with the iPhone and trying to get the people to be quiet around us so that we can interview somebody. You know what I mean? So yeah, we
Mhm.
started doing it like that until we did a little bit more research and was like, hey, let's step it up a little bit. But I seen your camera guy over there. I'm like, dang, I got to find out what he's using because
Yeah.
that's some real high tech stuff.
Get with Miles, man. Miles Meyer. He changed his name now, called online called Frame Banger,
Mhm.
because he does things per frame per second, whatever. But get with him, man. Pick his brain, man, because he's really the real magic is behind the camera.
Right,
You
right.
know, I mean, I'm a mouthpiece in front, but he makes everything looks like. There's been some times, bro, that I did a couple of episodes, because I do at least 2 episodes a month, right? Whether I have to go out of state or out of town. And I was like, man, this is a fucked up interview going on here. It's like the dude is dry as shit. Um, you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah,
he's asking me smart ass answer questions. Like, I was like, because I usually sometimes say, hey, man, so how you feel about this dog training? And on top of that, do you believe in this equipment? And he was like, hey, man, you going to ask me more than one question at a time? I'm like, shit, Miles, you got to edit that shit.
yeah.
I mean, like, I'm like,
No, I feel you.
yeah. So for me, it's like Miles, he said, man, don't worry. I got this. And that was one of the best videos, like, because he edited the shit out of it. He cut it up. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? But he
that's
used
what
some
we
kind of,
we edit our own stuff too, and that's what I always try to tell people whenever we're interviewing them, because you got people like if you're just talking to them one on one,
yeah.
they got the gift of gab. You know, they're smooth, they're cool, but you put a camera in front of their face and they're like, they forget how to
Uh,
talk.
yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, don't even worry about it. We can shoot it again, or if we just leave it like that, and I'll make you look good whenever I edit it. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
me and my wife both do the editing, and we make sure that we do them right.
That's good. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get into. I want people to know who you are.
All right.
Jason, tell them where you are and where you're located. Because I saw 2 states. I saw Utah
Yeah.
and I saw California.
I'm from California. We moved out to southern Utah 2 years ago. And it was because I love California. You know what I mean? I love my people there. I was a pastor at a Calvary Chapel for 12 years before we moved out here.
Right.
And so like my roots are there. I love it. It's not a good spot. My son was about to get to high school. My wife was a counselor at the high school that he was going to be going to, and she was like, "Babe, we can't have him over here. This is not good."
Yeah.
And so we kind of had some contacts out over here. I'm good friends with the pastor over here. So he kind of got us plugged in with the real estate agent, and we were able to find jobs real quick and seamless transition. So we've been over here for 2 years, and wanted to kind of create the bully scene over here because there's not. I mean, over in Utah, people are into like, labradoodles or just weird, or not weird dogs, but just like not the type of dogs that I'm used to.
You're
And
right.
so I'm trying to build a community out here a little bit too.
So how's it been working? You've gotten a little bit of a following on people who are interested in the breed.
Yeah, you have to do it. Just you have to take your dogs out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I was walking one of my dogs just around the neighborhood. several people stopped me. Only one kid knew what it was. I had my dog, a girl that I just picked up. I picked her up from TMK. She's a puppy. She's like 8 months old, but a beautiful girl. And as I was kind of walking her around, I had a lady stop her truck and was like, "That's a beautiful dog." And I was like, "Yeah." And I was explaining to her what it was. One of my other neighbors had seen me walking it and was like, "Dude, that's a dope dog. What kind of dog is it?" And I was just explaining to it. And as I was coming back, there was this boy. He's a teenager. He's like, "Is that a bully?" It's like, "Yeah." And so, just being out taking them, you're able to kind of just show the people what this dog is. Most of the people here, they still think whenever they see it, is that a pit bull? And then you have the opportunity to go ahead and educate them a little bit on what a bully is.
Mm-hmm. How long you been in the XL Bully, and was that your first breed?
Well, I've been in a dog since I was a little kid. I mean, from everything from Cocker Spaniels to Boxers to Pit Bulls to miniature sheepdog to Jack Russells to Labs, everything, man. I love dogs. I got my first dog, my first bully, back before they were even calling them bullies. It was a pit bull back in the late 90s. I went over to my homie's house, and his brother-in-law had the first bully I'd ever seen. I was like, "That's the craziest dog I've ever seen in my life. I got to get a dog like that." And so, I would hound him. I'd be like, "Hey, let's go visit Pete." That was the name of the dog. So I'll go over there and I hang out with them. And then his brother-in-law was like, "Hey, you really love these dogs, man. Why don't you go ahead and have this girl?" Her name was, I called her Bullet. She was a puppy. I had her. And that was my girl, man. She was like my best friend. I was like 17 years old, 18 years old. I started getting into a lot of trouble, got locked up. Bullet ran away. I ended up getting out. One of my friends was like, "Hey, I know where Bullet's at." And I was going past this neighborhood and Bullet's in the back. I got her out. She was pregnant. She had a litter, but it was pit bull she was pregnant with. So that litter kept her. My wife got together. I ended up getting locked up again. Bullet was gone. I always wanted a dog like Bullet. So fast forward, my life's changing drastically. You know what I'm saying? I'm married. I'm in ministry. I got kids.
Yep.
And my kids want a dog. And I'm like, all right, I got to get a dog like Bullet. And so we're doing some research and then found out like everything. Cause I was still in the mindset, like blue nose, red nose, all that stuff. I didn't even realize that my dog was a bully. You know what I'm saying? Until like I was doing the research and realized it was a bully. And then was like, oh, okay. Got into a deep dive of it and always been a dog person. And so whenever we decided that we're going to go ahead and get a dog, we're like, no, we're going to start our own. We're going to create our own thing. And so that's what we did. We went and got our first bully, started doing a lot more research, got our second bully, third bully, became a dirty little addiction, and yeah, just been in love with the breed.
Man, you know what, man? It's like my first real dog, I don't even know if it's called mine because it stayed at my aunt's house, was a white German Shepherd.
Oh man, I love German Shepherds.
It was a pure white one. And now that we look back, we for Shepherds and Dobermans, for them to be off color is not acceptable. But we didn't know that growing up as a kid. Like for Adobe having a white spot on his chest, that's a defect. But for other dogs, that's acceptable, right? That's like a Cane Corso, that's acceptable, depending on how large the white is and all this other crap. But for Dobies and Shepherds, for them to have white on them, that's a defect, right? And I remember when, and fast forward 35 more years later, I was going through a divorce. I was going through bankruptcy and foreclosure. Well, I had to file bankruptcy to stop the foreclosure. That's a hack, right? That's a hack right there, people. If you're going to get foreclosed and you want a time to get your shit together, get your mortgage cut up, file bankruptcy, they can't foreclose on you. And the only thing that the one thing that got me out of depression, man, was my dog. Because I lived in a condo and we didn't have a backyard. So what does that mean? You got to walk out in the front door, the back door, but you got to take them for a walk. You can't just throw them in the backyard. There is no backyard, right? And he got me out, man. It was to the point, man, I was like wearing the same shit for like 4 or 5 days, laying in the bed. I know every series from Dateline ID now, from all that shit, right? Lester Holt and Mahi Mahart. I know all the damn narrators on that damn show. And I realized that Dogs do one of many things that no human can do. The one thing to me that they can do on a consistent basis is stay consistent.
Yeah.
I can be gone for 2 days, 2 hours, 2 months, 2 years, 2 minutes. They gonna still go like this every day when they see me,
Yeah.
right? Every day. I can yell at them every day. And the day they don't do that, I know something's physically wrong with them. Like, yo, this ain't right. Like my boy usually come to me, I can't even walk through the door while him acting a fool. And I say, you know what? I can't even name one person in my life, even my mother, that stayed consistent with her emotions. Nobody.
Yeah.
So, you know, because I used to flip out, man. I was like, before I got into dogs, I used to say, why are these people crying over these dogs? Get another one. Just get another one. It ain't that easy.
No.
The bond is different. The non-verbal bond, because everything is emotional and physical with them, right? Because they can't talk English, right? And it's unbreakable. So when I get a new puppy, I'll make sure that bond is unbreakable before I get into protection sports, where we have to do a board and train with my boys. And it got so bad because I put, you know, all my dogs have to have a protection title at some point, because that's what separates me as a stud guy. Because everybody got nice dobies. I mean, you can find nice dobies everywhere. But what set me apart from them is that my boys are title. The hips and elbows OFA'd. They're health tested. They got character. And so what sets me apart is they're getting a protection title, whether it's PSA, Schitzen, or whatever. And it got so bad when I come around, like I can't go to their trials because if they smell me or hear me, they say, fuck this judge, fuck the handler. I want to go see daddy. And guess what? He blows the trial because he forgot what the assignment was. So the bond is important. But I want to ask you a question. And people, one of the things that I love what Jay is doing, he interviews and he shares the lights on other kennels too.
Yeah.
Where is the farthest place you've traveled to do an actual interview / episode? What kennel?
Well, I'll tell you, we just got back from Texas on Thursday, and we went, you know, from Utah over to Texas is like 1,400 miles.
Right.
You know, we went to Conroe, Texas for a show. We went to go see Bull Rush in Midland, Texas. I just dropped a video with them like 2 days ago. We went to go visit Aria Giacomelli at Samba Kennels, and we went to about an hour outside of Dallas. I think it's Forney, to go see Ohana bullies as well. So we knocked out 5 videos in like a week. Yeah, we knocked out 5, and we just dropped one, but we got 4 more lined up. And so I'm going to give it some time, about a week, and drop one. And then I went to Oregon too. That was it was about 16-hour car ride. And we went to go visit Monster Bully Kennels. And we decided that we like to take summer vacation, little breaks and stuff. And that was, hey, we're going to go ahead and make some content and see some dogs. So we did that as a family, journeyed up there to go visit MBK. That was hard, man. Got some great dogs.
But that was a hell of a drive, though, wasn't it?
Oh, it was crazy. I almost started regretting it until I got there and was like, nah, I'm glad we did this.
But you got a minivan?
I got a truck. It's actually a small little Ford Maverick. You know, I traded in my Silverado to go ahead and get that because I'm like, I'm not trying to pay $200 every other week for gas, you know. So I got that Ford Maverick, and it does the trick. But my son is pretty tall. He's like me. He's like 6'1" or 6'2" right now. So he was struggling in the back, but you know, he's a trooper.
Is it Dibby Yitzy? You know what it is?
No, I haven't seen her. But she watched the Samba Kennels interview. Yeah, I did one with her about 2 months ago, wherever there was that big debate, kind of like on whenever they're called pit monsters. I hit her up because I met her at the Cinco show like 2 years ago, and she had a Tractor. And she was a nice lady, and Tractor was just a dope dog, and his temperament was just on point. There was dogs kind of going around him flipping out, but he was just chill. I was like, that dog is cool. And so, you know, after I met her, there was kind of like a debate, like, oh, we don't know what's up with these pit monsters. We don't know what's in them. Yeah, I mean, we don't know their temperament, blah, blah, blah. And people were kind of like crapping on the breed.
Yeah.
And so I hit her up and I was like, hey, man, I'm going to give you a platform because there's kind of like, talk within the community about the breed. And I met your dog, and I know you're very knowledgeable on the breed. Let's do something. So she was like, all right. And, we ended up sitting and doing an interview. And I sat on that interview probably for like a week too long because I work full time. So I wasn't able to really get the editing done. And then I had seen she had already dropped something with somebody else. Like, dang, man, it's going to look like I'm following them. But yeah, she's a sweet lady. And the Brazilian bulls, man,
We're going to hit that one.
Man, they're honestly, like, I look at them and they're way more consistent than our American bullies are.
Right.
Because you've been to the Cinco.
Yeah.
And you see how you got several different variety looking XLs. You see a Brazilian dog and you know it's a Brazilian dog. You know what I'm saying? And they look more like the standard of what the XL bully is supposed to look like. If you look at that picture, that we all see, with ABK, boom, and then you look at the Brazilian bulls like that. Well, that kind of looks more like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's interesting because in this game that we're trying to get monetized on is we're not doing something that nobody's done before. Listen, it's okay to copycat somebody.
Yeah.
As long as you're copying the right cat. You know what I'm saying? And so I interviewed Alonzo with Big John because you did. But I had talked to him prior about doing an episode, right? But you got to him first. I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to put his ass on the show. Because we were supposed to do it 2 weeks ago. And what I'm learning now is that with dog people, including me, we can't set shit up like a week in advance. You got to give me like, okay, I'll let you know in 3 days. Hit me up in 3 days because you try to get at me sometime mid next week, man, some other shit that's more pressing is going to get in that way. You know what I'm saying? And then we got to reschedule. And then but when it comes to me driving to people's homes and doing interviews, we're going to have to dial some shit in, you know. But when it does these episodes, these online podcasts, interviews, yeah, man, you got to catch them like 3 days before you want to do it. Hey, you going to be available Wednesday? Because you do it a week out, man, it's like they got stuff to do. You know what I'm saying? And YouTube is the king of all social media when it comes to a platform that monetize.
Right.
And I'm glad you're doing it. Like I said, I found you on YouTube first. And I was checking out, I always get the people that's it's organic, you know what I'm saying? It's not like scripted, and you just asking questions like, yo, like when you were talking to Alonzo, that fucking Big John was just sitting in the middle of the floor, man, chewing on that damn little tire. I'm like, the tire's gonna be done pretty soon. Like, what is he gonna do now? Because none of my dogs will stay still like that.
Yeah.
And he stayed still the whole time in the middle of that flow.
You know what? That's a bully thing though too. It's kind of the temperament of these dogs. Like I was like the video I just dropped with Bull Rush. I'm sitting next to Cesar and I'm interviewing him. And Loso's just chilling right in front of us, just waiting for us to pet him, as we're filming and we're recording. I'm just petting him and he's just sitting there, just chilling with us. If I would have kept petting him, he would have just stayed there the whole time. That's kind of like the temperament. They're like really, they want to please people. So yeah, they want to be around people. That's kind of the temperament of the breed.
What's interesting though, because, what I've heard prior to knowing you guys community, because it is a knit community. It's a subculture and it's a knit community. What I've learned is that what we see is not always reality. Mm-hmm. Like when you hear about the XL bullies getting banded and in the UK, I'm like, man, these dogs fucking people up. Yeah. But on the contrary, you guys, everybody that I talked to, the first thing that came out of their mouth, bro, is that when I asked them, what are you looking for when you're breeding your dogs? They said temperament. 100%. Like they don't want to have no wild ass dog that displays exactly what people who didn't know think. They breed for, like, man, dude, it was so many people walking up to strange dogs, rubbing these dogs that can literally kill your ass. Their head is bigger than basketballs. And with one bite force, you're going to need plastic surgery, a cast. You're going to need some real stuff because they're going to, when they bite you, they're going to cut to the white meat. You know what I'm saying? That deep. And I remember watching Big John, a video that went viral on Instagram. This guy must have been hella small, or Big John was hella big. And this Big John had a back of a miniature, like a midget back. You know how the midgets are all muscular looking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, man, Big John looked like a human. It's like, it was almost freaky looking, man. And so now when I talk to Alonzo, I always say, Big John, a freak of nature. And that's how he say it, right?
Yeah.
So my question is that why do you think that the Brazilian bullies cannot be registered in the ABKC kennel?
I think it was the uproar.
Really?
I think that's what I think, because they were allowed within the ABKC registry. But then I think whenever there were so many people that were complaining about it, it's a completely separate breed and yeah. It's like, I'll tell you what I respect about the Brazilian bulls. They don't hide nothing.
Right.
You know exactly what goes into them. We're a composite breed. Every breed is. Every single breed that's around is. But the XL American Bully is. And in order for us to get registered at the beginning, we had to go ahead and paper hang. It's just the ugly truth is that in order for us to get accepted by UKC, we had to get registered under pit bulls, even though we were going for a different aesthetic and a different temperament than a pit bull. So everything was getting registered as a pit bull, and there was obviously other stuff in, but what it is, we don't even know. So we know that there's bulldog in the XLs. We know that there's mastiff, and we know that stuff has been added in, but we don't know where, and we don't know exactly what. But with the Brazilian bull, you know exactly what was added in. You can see it in their pedigree. The Johnson Bulldog, all these things. You can go back and you can take a look at the peds and you can see what's in it. So you're able to go ahead and achieve a more consistent look because of that. You know what I'm saying? Because what a lot of people don't understand with dogs, they have a lot more genetic variety to pull from than we do as humans, right?
Right.
They have almost double the chromosomes that we do. So you might have, Mastiff, 10 generations back, Bulldog 6 generations back, Terriers and all this stuff. And you can have a litter and you got one dog that's more Terrier, one dog that's more Bully, one dog that's got more droopy skin than the others, because they're pulling from such a genetic variety. You know what I'm saying? And when you add more breeds in, that's what you can expect. But if you know what you're doing in breeding, if you're going for a certain thing, you're going for a bulldog look, and you know where the bulldog is, and this dog has this bulldog here, this dog has this bulldog here. And if I go ahead and match it up, this is probably going to be what I'm looking for. So they were able to achieve, what we were hoping to achieve, I think, in the American Bully as far as the aesthetics go, because they knew what was in there, and it's important for us to go ahead and close it off, I guess, to some degree. And I can understand the argument. We got to close it. Because if we can't continue to allow things to come in, how can we ever achieve a consistent look? Which I understand that completely. But at the same time, like, that's the aesthetic we're going for. You know what I mean? And that's the breed. I don't know. To me, my personal opinion, I think that the Brazilian bull will eventually be allowed back in the ABKC, but I think it's going to be several years down the road before, they allow them to come in.
Is that why Big John could not be into the confirmation show at the Cinco de Mayo because of that?
I think it was because he was TMK was one of the guys that was hosting the event.
Okay, yes, yeah, it's conflict of interest.
Yeah,
every purebred dog started out with different breeds. A mixture of different breeds. I mean, the Dobie, you have Terrier, you have Rottweiler, you have Greyhound. So you need all these multiple type of dogs to create one pure breed. Mm-hmm. My question is, what is the difference between, what are the qualifications to enter ABKC versus is it UKC?
Yeah. The UKC, I think they still have the old standard, which is basically a pit bull, right? If you go through it. ABKC is a little bit different. You want your dogs to have a specific dimension, with the ABKC. You want them to almost look like a square. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to UKC kind of generally go with the more athletic type of bully. So you'll look at what the ABKC considers like a classic. You look at the UKC, and generally, not all the time, you'll see dogs that resemble the classic more in the UKC than you will with the ABKC.
All right. So my other question leads to this then. If I want to register my dog in the ABKC, is the club requiring like embark genetic testing to show like how much percentage of it is a terrier, how much percent is a American bulldog, etc.? Does it require that?
You know, it's funny you say that, because I don't think Embark does like that percentage. Whenever it comes back, it'll say American Bully, but we know that there's things that come into it, and no, the ABKC does not require that. Although I do think that's a good idea for them to make that a requirement, because I think that will really help us as breeders figure out exactly what is going into these dogs, and if I want to incorporate that dog into my program or not.
What when you're looking, because you said you got how many dogs you got? You got one male and
I have two males,
two
and I
males,
have 5 females.
and your 2 studs are named what?
Lazarus, he's just a pup right now. He's about 11 months old. He's off of Grand Champ Pressure in Buffalo, who's off of Buena Vista. Lolo's Pressure that Buena Vista owns, and I know you know him. And Rogue, it's a Buffalo Bayou Bullies, who's actually a littermate sister of Zippo, and I really like that blood. So which is like to me the greatest XL breeding ever done before is Adios and Butterscotch. And the reason why is because they produced King Zion, they produced Stax, who's owned by Lolo, and Super Bowl, who's owned by Bossy, and there was another chocolate tri named Rambo. Some 4 of like the greatest studs ever came from that one litter. And so King Zion, who is the father of Zippo, is Rogue's, father.
Who's this? Who's this?
Oh, that's Sheik. That's a Shake. That's Samba Kennels is a Shake. Actually, she sold it for 180 grand, but we went to go visit that dog. The dog is a freak in nature. It's my wife trying to go ahead and stack it. She was like, dude, it was so hard trying to stack that dog. She was like, that dog is so dense. Like, I went over there. It was heavy for me to stack him too. But yeah, that boy, he's the real deal. He's a Brazilian bull. Actually, no, he's registered with ABKC, but he was brought in from Brazil, and he was initially a Brazilian bull, but he's registered as an American bully. And that's Loso. Loso, that's my wife posing with Loso, and that's off of the interview that we just did with Bull Rush that dropped a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And sweetest boy right there. He's the son of King Zion. And we actually have a daughter of his in our camp as well. Her name is Genesis. So I have a lot of, if you look at my pedigrees and my dogs, I have a lot of stacks, and I have a lot of King Zion blood.
How do you feel about line breeding?
I think that's how you could achieve a consistent look. You don't want to do it too closely. And once you start line breeding, you want to go ahead and outcross, because you don't want to get the blood too tight and make your dogs, retarded or small. But yeah, I think that's how you achieve a consistent look. The tighter that you breed, the more consistent look that you're going to be able to get. They have less genetic variety to pull from, so you're going to get that consistent look.
Let me see.
And that's Lazarus whenever he was a little guy. I don't have any recent stuff.
That's your dog, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason why I don't post him much right now is because he's hitting that lanky stage.
Yeah.
And I never like to post my dogs whenever in that lanky stage, because you're going to hear people talking all kinds of crap. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, well, buddy, he's a puppy. You got to give him. These bullies don't really start popping until like a year and a half anyway.
So he's going into that ugly duckling stage right now.
Yeah, he's looking a little weird. But yeah, that is my boy Aries. I got him sent in from the UK. And that's my girl Leia. We got her from Monster Bully Kennels. She's off of the Omen, but he's off of Show Bullies as Dexter. It's actually Bossy's Dexter, but got shipped out to Show Bullies in the UK. And I thought that Dexter was going to be a legend. I got him before the band, and that boy was just such an impressive bull. A lilac tri Merle, but built just like the picture of the standard. He's built like a tank. So I got to get something from him in the States.
Yeah.
And so I went out and that's where I got my boy Aries. And after, whenever that ban happened, I was trying to get Dexter to come over to the States, but oh boy was like, that's my son. I can't get rid of him. I understand. But I felt like he would have been a legend if we would have been able to bring him over here.
When you're looking for a quality, because you just recently got a female from Lonzo, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you look for a female, what are you looking for? Because with these puppies, man, they change so damn much. It's really hard to like, okay, that's gonna be a rock star. I mean, the pack leader, the pack leader title changes every week. I mean, what are you looking for when you're picking a good female for your foundation, for your breeding program?
Well, for me, it was I picked her because I know what I'm looking for now because I know what I need. You know, so it depends on what do you need. Like every dog has a fault. Every single dog. Doesn't matter if you're a grand champion. Doesn't matter. Every dog has a fault, and you got to be honest with yourself. What does my dog lack?
Yeah.
So if your dog has slight easty westy, okay, I need to get a female with straight feet, and I want to go ahead and look at the sire and the dam to make sure they had both straight feet too. You know, so I can know, okay, whenever they breed with my boy that's got easty westy, that's going to correct it.
Yeah.
Or you got a dog that's got a little bit of a long back, you're going to want a more compact female. So you're going to be looking, okay, she's a compact female. Let me look at the parents. What do they look like? Okay,
Mhm.
she's probably going to throw heavy, compact. So you're looking for the stuff that you know that you need, and you got to be honest with yourself too. If you're not honest, then you're never going to see any type of improvement within your program.
Man, I'm gonna get a shitload of reels off of this interview, dog. I tell you, StreamYard actually spits out reels for you.
I didn't know that. Man, hey, you helping me out right now, dog.
They
I'm
spit the
right
reels out, and you pick out which ones you want. Sometimes you may have to edit it a little bit, cut it off a little bit more, whatever. But StreamYard spit the reels, dog.
That's what's up.
Um,
Hey, you put me on game. I guarantee you this is going to be helping me out a lot. I'm going to be using this.
Yeah, the only platform you can't go live on with StreamYard for some reason is TikTok.
Okay.
TikTok won't. They don't play with StreamYard, but everybody else do. Yours, Spotify, even your Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Those are the big ones. And because I got a Spotify too, so when I'm done, I just download the audio part, pop it on Spotify. People want to hear me talk while they're driving to Oregon for 14 hours. You can just listen to me.
That's
right?
cool.
Thinking
Yeah,
about
that's real
I'm
cool.
gonna give you some nuggets now.
Yeah.
I was writing down some notes. You hit some some truthful, emotional parts. You got to be true to you got to be true about what you need in your kennel. You got to be you got to be honest with yourself, right? Yeah. And I know that I don't have the perfect dogs. I know that I got 3 male Dobies and 1 male Rottweiler. And I can point out flaws to them that I know that if I breed to the right female, I can get something that the other one was missing, right? So case in point, Cisco has the temperament and the prey drive and the heart of a lion and of a Malinois. He's the only Dobie I know that will give a Malinois a run for his money, 100%, right? But I know that he's a little bit smaller than what I like. Even though he's Euro standard, he's thick, I'd like him to be 29 inches, but he's 27 and a half, right? So what I do, I breed to a female. I want to say the B word, but I breed to a female that has the tangibles, right? Because I have the intangibles, the temperament, the prey drive, the unforgiveness when we're doing protection work, the obedience. I have that, but the tangible things I can touch, I can see. I got to get it from that, and then from that I pull from that litter what I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
Still, nothing's guaranteed.
Sure.
Right. So when you pick out the perfect female, well, the female from that litter, for me, because my wife understands that, we love these animals, and then like the Bible says, we are the keepers of the beast, and we are responsible for all creatures on this planet, land, sea, and air, 100%. But with that being said, I'm gonna give this motherfucker like 7, 8 months to show me something.
Yeah.
And then after that, and if he's still not, because I've had 2 dogs that have trailblazed my standards, Brody and Alonzo. And if I can get 2 dogs that showed me the minimum things that I need to build on,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna keep him. He's a keeper for right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I've imported dogs from Serbia, Russia. My new boy coming in tomorrow, he's from Czech Republic. I got big things for him. His name is Gaius. But if the dog's not panning out at 8, 9 months, man, I'm getting rid of him. And sometimes I give him away. Like, yo, he's letting the other dogs punk him. His prey drive is not there. He don't have that much of a food drive. He got to go. Because when I do protection work, they have to have something to excite them.
Yeah.
Right? Do you have the same philosophy or different, that if you get a pup and you keep them, and if they're not developing physically or turning out intangibly how you want them, are you still keeping them because you paid for them?
No, but that's the thing too with your breed, because there's more that goes into it, as far as like the drives that are necessary in order to create that temperament that you're looking for than it does with our breed. Us being, it's an aesthetic dog, and it's a family companion. So whenever you see the dog, the temperament's the first thing that attracts you to it. Okay, is this dog a little bit too aggressive? Is too dominant? Or because honestly, even if it's the nicest looking dog out of the bunch, if it has too much drive, I'm a shy away from it.
Right.
Only because, you know what I mean? Like I don't, like you alluded to it. People that are going to get this dog are looking for a companion dog, and I don't want to put a dog with too much drive in a family's home, because they're going to be around kids, and these are massive, powerful animals, and I don't want them expecting one thing and then getting something that they're not prepared to handle or take care of.
Right.
So that's the first thing. So I look at that. If that temperament's good, then right on, like, what is the aesthetic that I'm hoping for? But with my dog, it takes a little bit longer to find out if it's going to come through or not, because I've seen dogs that are just hideous looking, like just ugly at a year old. And then fast forward to 2 years old, 3 years old, and they're like amazing,
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit longer for them to kind of like fill out. I think because of the way that they're built, them being so big, being so wide, being so muscular, it takes a little bit of time for them to go ahead and fill out. But yeah, I'm just actually talking about it with the female that I got with my daughter, because it's not panning out the way that she was hoping for. And we're like, okay, we might have to move on from her. We love her. We care for her, but it's probably not going to be the dog that we're looking for to incorporate within our kennel. So yeah, we'll do that. We ain't got no problem with it. I mean, as long as we're sending it to the right house, we don't have no problem with it at all.
Yeah. My wife had a problem with it in the beginning. Oh my God, I love the dog. Oh, gee willikers. I'm like, stop it, black woman. Come on. Stop it. I'm like, wait a minute. I say, Steph, every dog in this house serves a purpose. I paid child support for 19 years, right? There is no way that I'm going to have a dog in my house that poops more than me every day, goes to the vet more than I go to the doctor, and you don't contribute to the house? Oh, no. I got 2 cats as pets. I don't need extra exotic, purebred dogs just because they're purebred and they're dogs.
Right.
My dogs have to serve a purpose. Purpose is companionship, but you got to contribute to the house.
Correct.
And we're not just talking about monetarily either. We're talking about, can you guard the yard? Yeah. Can you be civil when it needs to be civil? Can you be defensive when you need to be defensive? Yeah. All these things are important to me. And I go through, man, come on, this. We go through 3 dogs to get 1 dog right. It is what it is. So I want to ask you a question, because when I first started hearing about the XL bullies, I was hearing about these two names. Got his line, Razor's Edge.
Yeah.
Now, what is so unique, or what was so unique about those lines? And are they still around?
Yeah, they're still around. I don't know if you can go. There's still some people that really incorporate a lot of the old school blood. It is harder to find nowadays, but what was so amazing about them is nobody had seen dogs like this. Like I was telling you, back in the '90s, whenever I seen this dog, this was like a Remy line dog, or not a Remy line dog, Razor's Edge dog.
Yeah.
And whenever I seen this dog, it blew my mind. I'd never seen a pit bull that wide with that big of a head, with that much muscle. I've never seen that before, and I was just blown away. And now we've gotten spoiled where it's like it's normal now, but back then that was not normal. You seen that picture of Juan Gotti. You would look at Juan Gotti now, and he would almost be like in between a classic and a standard.
Right.
But there was nothing like it then, and so like, and it was always the culture, like in Southern California is like, not always the best neighborhoods, right? So so you want to have like a big, strong dog that you can walk with, that looks tough, that looks cool. It's part of your protection, but then it's almost like an accessory too. And so you want to go ahead and have that big looking, strong dog with that wow factor. And then whenever those dogs came out, that's exactly what it was. You're blown away. You see a dog like that, and like, that dog is crazy. I don't want to have it. No other dog better approach that dog because it's going to eat it. So it was that, you never seen anything like that. And obviously times change, people change, and me, like, I don't even have the same values that I did back then. Obviously I was a younger person, and I don't want my dogs to eat somebody else's dogs or anything like that. But, at that time, that was like a very impressive thing to see. I ain't seen nothing like it. But yeah, they're definitely, without them, there would be no us. There would be no American Bully as we know it today.
What about I've been watching this one black guy. What's his name? He got BG Kennels,
Andre from BGK.
Yeah. Man,
Yeah.
I love watching this shit. This shit is funny as hell.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Yeah. And I noticed, man, that these are some massive ass dogs. He just taking them around Venice Beach, people petting them. It was just, the temperament was dope as hell. But but the guy that really started having me pay attention was the guy from
DDK9.
Dynasty something.
Yeah. Was it Dark Dynasty Canines?
Yes. He just had Hulk just passed away.
Yeah.
All dogs go to heaven, man. But what did you think about? So I say these two things is that when I was at the show and I saw you there, and they had those series. Let me go on your page. I'm gonna show you. They had those stack offs. They're going stack off.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the stack off right now. And I was I had my own personal feelings on which one I thought was better looking. But did the dog win that you thought should have won? Is the question. I'm being respectful.
Yeah, 100%. I know exactly what you're talking. With those, he won the. Actually, no, he didn't win the most extreme. Dub lines, he won the most extreme, but he was right there too. But if you look at what's his name, De Niro from $1 Million Bullies, Bossy's De Niro, he's an extremely freaky looking dog. And when you go to like the XL shows, like that one, the Cinco, that's kind of what. They don't really care exactly too much about the standard, right? It's more of like that dog with that wow factor. Yeah, I see that dog and like, oh my gosh, that dog's impressive. If you look from the mind of a breeder, right? It's nothing against De Niro. De Niro's a dope dog and he'd be a great tool to use for certain dogs.
Right.
But if you're looking at the most clean dog that was there, the most structurally, sound, the most closest to the standard, I would probably have to say, oh, thank you. Sorry, my wife brought me something. I would probably have to say the Grand Champion Captain America would probably a little bit more.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, or there was a dog there that didn't even compete. His name was Monopoly. who's owned by Ocean Breeze Kennels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a dope dog. If you see he posts a lot on YouTube and Instagram and stuff. An amazing looking dog, man. He fits the breed standard really, really well, but he didn't compete. But yeah, Captain America, I mean, come on, he's a grand champion for a reason. You know, he's got that tight skin, that just everything. His temperament was perfect. Like if Ryan owns him from Artisan Kennels, if he would have had him off the leash, he'd have just been chilling and not bothering nobody or not bothering any dog. No human aggression, no dog aggression at all. He's just an awesome dog. So I would have probably said he would have won if it was maybe a sanctioned show. But since it's kind of like the XL community, that's kind of what we gravitate towards a little bit, that freak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was checking out when I was talking to the guy who owns Captain America.
Yeah.
The father is a hellified, the father of Captain America. I forgot the dog.
Enzo.
Yes.
Enzo.
I heard he's a hellified dog too.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was one of those dogs. He was from Ireland. And then the bully band went to Ireland too. And then he was imported. I'm not exactly sure who owns him. I think he might have went to Mexico, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But Enzo had some really dope productions too. Matter of fact, from that litter that created Captain America, you also have Lolo's Bullies Big. And I don't know if you've ever seen Big, but Notorious Big is a nice looking dog too. You know. So I mean and then it also produced TMK's Yeska, the breeding that made Little John.
Yeah.
Yeah, that made Little John. Yeah. It was from the same litter.
Because he kept Little John. He got Little John too.
Yeah. Little John's cool.
Yeah, I was interviewing him. I had him on my last podcast. He was coming in from Mexico and he was driving in. We did a podcast. He started with his phone and then he transitioned to his computer. And cool dude Alonzo is. And I was just amazed how he actually got Big John from Brazil.
Yeah.
And the whole process of how he got him reminds me of a movie called Blue Chip on how the people found Shaquille O'Neal, how he was in the backwoods and the swamps and everybody had to catch boats and canoes to see this guy play ball because he's in Louisiana. Yeah. It was just so dope. Yeah, man, when I saw the last show, because I think one of the YouTube series I saw you do, it was at an indoor bully show, wasn't it? It was I gotta look at it again, but you had interviewed somebody who had just entered the show, was about to enter the show. I don't remember. But it was on your YouTube.
I've done a lot, bro. I can't even remember some of them.
Oh, hell yeah, you've done a lot, goddammit. There's no doubt about it. My thing is that how has the breed changed over the few years in regards to aesthetics?
I think it's getting better. Because I mean, if you would have went to, a show probably about like 4 or 5 years ago, you would have really seen a lot of difference. Because like even some of the people that are popular that I really like, they produce really massive dogs and impressive dogs, but that's not what the breed standard is, either. But I'm, you know what I mean? I don't want to say too much because I respect everybody.
Right.
And I you know what I mean? But I feel like the last several years, people have been breeding more towards the standard than ever, because I think it's people like us, as we're talking, other people, is they have their platforms and they start going ahead and communicate. It's important for us as breeders to get on the same page if we ever want to achieve a level of consistency.
Right.
If we want to ever be respected, like other breeds, if I go to a Doberman show, I'm going to see Dobermans there. I'm not going to see a Doberman and I'm going to be confused on what that is. It's like, is that a Malinois or is that a Doberman? It's like, no, I know exactly what that is. I'm not going to be able to go to, if we're going to be respected, we got to breed towards the center, or else we're going to keep going to shows and be like, is that a bully or is that a freaking Cane Corso? What is that? So we gotta start moving in the direction that I think that we actually are, because people that breed for hype, and I mean, how can I? People hit me up sometimes, you know, and they'll be like, "Hey, how big is your dog? You know what I mean? Do you got any dogs for sale? Do you got any like really big? How big is it? How tall is it? How massive? How much does it weigh? How big is it?" When you first get into the breed, that's all you care about because that's like, dang,
That's what the impressive. That's the thing that caught your eye.
yeah. But then the more you start learning about the breed, and the more you start kind of like realizing what it is that you're looking at, then you start to change a little bit. And if you just breed for hype, you'll sell to certain people, boom, 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 but then the hype dies down, and then you're left with nobody. The market's passed you by, and you're out the door. But if you get to that point where you're gonna know, I have this vision, I'm gonna breed towards the standard, and I'm gonna work my way towards there, you can't go wrong. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna last, you know. And I think that's the people that are still in the game that are lasting because they're breeding for the right purposes and they're breeding in the right direction. So we're seeing it, I think, improve a lot, you know, than it was probably like 4 or 5 years ago.
What's the difference between XL bullies and pit monsters?
There's not much, honestly. You know, like I was saying, we know what goes into the Brazilian pit monster, and we have an idea what goes into the bully, but we don't know for certain. Jason and Ellery from Heroes Kennels right now.
Right.
Yeah, and so like I think what we were hoping for initially, what we are looking to achieve, you know, Brazil kind of they beat us to the punch, I think, a little bit. Yeah, look at that. That's Tractor right there. Look at Tractor. Look at that picture right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the freaking standard, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now that's Sheik. That's Sheik right there. I think he's like an inch taller than what the standard is supposed to, but everything else is on point. He's the most impressive dog my wife ever saw. She was like, "We got to use that dog."
He is stacking pretty well.
He's amazing, bro. And like his temperament is just so chill too. Like all of her dogs are that way. She's the real deal. You got to get her on the show at some time too.
Where is she located?
She's in Texas.
Okay.
I can't even remember the town. It was a small little town, probably like an hour outside of Dallas, but small little town. Doesn't have great internet, but she said that she's going to be getting Skylink so she can do stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. And I don't know if you're ever out in Texas, but if you wanted to go ahead and chop it up with her, there you go, man. Hit her up.
I'm in Dallas all the time, dog.
Well, hey, she's really welcoming, bro. Like, I'm not trying to throw her out there, but
yeah, I gotta get
after we finish with, you know, yeah, I'll give it to you. After we finished going ahead and doing an interview with her, we did another video with her, and then we were about to hit a hotel, and she was like, "Hey, why don't you guys just stay here?" And so we ended up staying at her crib and then going out to eat with her, and she was a sweet lady, man. She's very welcoming. But yeah, I can't remember where I was going. Oh yeah, so the pit monster and the bully, not a whole lot, honestly. We're still aiming towards getting to that level of consistency that they found. And it makes me sound like I like the Brazilian bulls better than the American bullies. I don't. I just admire them. I almost feel like we're in the same category, or we should be. And that's why I think the ABKC at some point in time is going to welcome them back in as American bullies. That's just my looking into a crystal ball. That's what I think.
Oh yeah, somebody named Rob Finn said, agreed, do a collab with Simba Kennels. That was Simba Kennels, right?
Samba. Yeah. So yeah, that's her. That's Aria.
Okay. And let's read some questions and comments here. This is some good ones here. Let me see. Let me see here. Yeah, that's a good one. You can answer that question because I really don't know.
What makes a bully a bully? Bully is just a terminology about a certain type of look. Like even whenever they were registered, like as pit bulls, like the dog that looked more massive, more muscular, more wide, bigger head, shorter muzzle, you'd be like, oh, that dog looks bully. And so that was just a term before it actually became like the name of the breed. You know, while we were still being called pit bulls, it was just a certain dog with a certain look. Oh, that dog looks bully. And it was like a pit bull looking dog with more, I guess you could say, more like bulldog attributes.
Here's another one. I don't know how significant this one is. This was asking me, have you guys went to a yard and was catfished? By who?
No, I mean, we have a relationship with the people before we actually go to the
Yeah.
yard. And that's one of the things too that before I always like to give people like shine. And I want to give them a platform because I believe my particular breed is the most demonized breed in the face of the world. You know, people just assume that these dogs are just like these most vicious type of animals, and then they think us, the breeders, we're just like these terrible people. You know what I mean? Like we're like drug dealers that just launder our money through the dogs, or they just have this bad idea of who we are. And so that's why I want to give people the platform because you know it makes it we're showing the dog in the correct light. These are like the most friendly, loving, just the best pets to have, in my opinion. You probably feel differently, and I
Yeah.
respect that. I mean, you're wrong, but it's all good.
You know
But
I'm
no,
listening, right?
no, but you know, I want to paint them in the right light, and so you know, I want to know the person who I'm dealing with a
Right.
little bit before I give them too big of a platform. You know, before I go and visit their kennel and stuff, I want to know what is their reputation. I want to ask them, what do you know about this person? Because I don't want to have somebody that's a known scammer on my, you know what I mean? And then I'm giving them a platform, and then people are associating me with them, and then they're associating the dogs with them, and that's
Yeah.
not what I'm trying to look for. So I have a relationship with the people to a certain degree before I go visit their yard, and so yeah, I'm not getting catfished.
We're gonna wrap it up here. You know, I only do like 55 minutes to an hour. Then people start getting bored listening to us because even though we talking some good, we dropping some knowledge and some game.
Yeah.
Let me read this one comment here first. Let me see. Meaning, oh, she said meaning Photoshop looking dogs.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Nah, nah.
Nah, they ain't trying to let us go way out there to say, hey, no, this ain't the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, I haven't had that experience yet.
Well, people, I like to say, I want to say thanks, Jason, for allowing me to interview you. We got to do this again. Don't hang up when we get off.
All right.
But you let the people know where they can find you again.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, and on YouTube. Um, at Heroes Kennels. It's all the same. You know, just go ahead and look us up, whatever platform that you're used to using. Go ahead and just follow us on that. If you want to reach out to us, just go ahead and DM me. I don't have a problem sharing my personal number with you. I won't do it now, but if you hit me up on a DM, I'll shoot it to you. Yeah, feel free to get a hold of me. If you got any questions about dogs or bullies specifically, then hit me up.
Hey, P.O., I'm gonna call Jason out. He never gave me his number. I had to send him voicemail memos. Motherfucker, what's up
I
with
got
this?
you, Doug. I
Yeah.
got you. Yeah.
Hey, people, I want to say, as I always tell you at the end of every show, I said, be resilient, but be responsible. Until next time.